Welcome back to Two Sides. I'm Christy Maziarz. I mean, what a battle royale between the Buffalo School District and the Teachers Union. Kind of like our guest that we have coming up. He faces a battle royale a lot.
Yeah, and a number of different levels. A highly respected attorney, Mr.
Steve Cohen. Here's the thing. I think what was great about Amber Dixon, she cleared up a lot of fact and fiction. And one of the topics that we're going to be talking about to Mr. Cohen is the fact or fiction about this fatal shooting of the teen in Florida over Stand Your Ground. You know, we had Senator George Maziarz on a few weeks back. He does have a proposal, again, to use deadly force. If you think someone is attacking you, they are a threat to you. But that kind of has been the hinge in this whole case in Florida. Whether George Zimmerman, who was just bailed out, bonded out, there he is, he was just let go. Did he have the right to use deadly force and shoot this unarmed teenager in the back?
And ABC News at the national level released a photograph of the back of his bloody head right after police showed up. So from his perspective, from that person's perspective, it adds credence to his claim that there was a bloody fight and he was defending himself. Now, we talk about, Senator George Maziarz. That law does not have a snowball's chance.
No, it sure doesn't. But again,
making law in New York
maybe
State.
This is something that Mr. Cohen can clear up when he comes to, because he does have many high-profile cases. You all know him and love him. And again, when it comes to civil rights and doing the right thing, what is Stand Your Ground? So without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Steve Cohen, esteemed attorney. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Just briefly, your thoughts on this case, and primarily, maybe on the possibility of expanding the law or legislation here in New York State.
Well, first and foremost, I have to say that no one knows enough about the case to really give an opinion. We don't know the facts of the shooting, the facts surrounding the actions by George Zimmerman. And it would be irresponsible to give an opinion as to the propriety of his actions.
What do you think about the legislation, though, with Senator George Maziarz? Just wanting to make it a little bit more definitive. If you feel that your life's in jeopardy, you have the right to use deadly force. I mean, most people would say, I thought I already did.
Yeah, this legislation isn't breaking any new ground. I mean, Article 35, use of deadly physical force in the New York penal law, already gives you the right to defend yourself, to defend your life. My concern is that legislation framed as Senator Maziarz is proposing could be subject to abuse. We already know through cases involving police officers, actual law enforcement officers versus the quasi-neighborhood watch George Zimmerman type of law enforcement. We already know that professional law enforcement officers have abused their right to use force. The use of force continuum is violated regularly, and my only concern with this legislation, which is very tempting, of course, to see passed, could be subject to a tremendous amount of abuse.
Again, I will say here with that, in Cincinnati, when I was an anchor there, their police department, I know you were tracking it, the Department of Justice had to get involved because they were just like, it's the wild, wild west, and they were shooting people for pretty much no reason, getting pulled over for speeding. Why do you think that this has become, I guess, such a topic now? Because you said, these Stand Your Ground laws really aren't breaking any new ground. Do you think it's just because people thought, well, I thought I could protect myself in this manner and didn't know that they would be up to question?
I don't think it's a new issue, and I don't think it's it has been, there's a renewed interest in this topic. I think the topic goes on continuously every now and then, and not surprisingly, incidents arise in which the person who was killed is unarmed. That's what happened here, and Trayvon Martin was unarmed. But we also have an alleged perpetrator, George Zimmerman, who has no criminal history. He's got no criminal record. He has, I think, one or two minor brushes with the law in a domestic context. So we have two people who, until this incident happened, were absolute innocents. So that gives us a starker contrast to the typical incident, which involves usually an experienced police officer and someone with a history of crime on the streets.
And now you know the law well, obviously a highly respected attorney here in Western New York, sir. Can you just explain for folks what is the letter of the law in New York State, in our neck of the woods, as far as defending yourself if you feel as though you are threatened?
If you believe that you're about to lose your life, you can use deadly physical force to defend yourself. It's very simple. Article 35 of the penal law paints that clearly. Now, we get into problems when, first of all, there's no witnesses, no video, and you need to convince a jury that the person who did the killing did, in fact, feel as though their life was in peril, that they felt it was in peril. And it's difficult oftentimes to get a juror to get their head into that of an individual who might be walking a beat, who might be on the street at 2 o'clock in the morning and might have that sense of fear.
Was that the problem, I guess, with the subway vigilante Bernie Cohen? I mean, because he served time in jail, for basically shooting thugs that were attacking him.
Now, I'm sorry, were you referring to like the Bernard Goetz?
Bernard Goetz, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem. That, in his case, he had done it on more than one occasion, Bernard Goetz, and that would suggest to a jury that perhaps Mr. Goetz was a little overzealous and was looking for trouble. But if, in fact, Mr. Goetz each and every time felt as though his life were in peril, he would, under New York law, have the right to take someone's life who he felt was about to take his. That case obviously has many other elements to it, and it would take, we could do a whole show on that.
Sorry for the little brain freeze there, but again, that was an interesting and the only time we've ever really seen that stand your ground.
So hold tight, sir. We're getting more questions for you from a legal perspective. Here's
absolutely. His current case.
Western New York. Yes, an interesting one, to say the least. That's how you touch base with us on Two Sides via email, text, Twitter, or Facebook.